Morning. Hope you're well. What have we rolled into the middle of the week or a bit better? It's been a couple of days since the last one. We've been pretty busy actually. There's been stuff going on everywhere. So a bit of a rundown on where we're up to. The guys from Earthy Ag, which is they're mobile Macdon mechanics essentially. I got on to Chris last year. For those of you guys that have been watching for a while, we did a wheel motor on the M150 windrowing tractor, and through a mate I got on to Chris, and Chris actually tracked a wheel motor down for me. So yeah, and then he gave me a ring at the start of the year wanting to know whether we'd be interested, whether we'd be keen for him to come and go over the rest of the gear. So Chris and Ty have been here for a couple of days. They're finished now, but basically gone over both the windrower fronts and both the windrower front and the header front, and then gone over the tractor itself, the M150. Replaced a couple of seals, lift ram seals, and just stuff that I didn't pick up and probably wouldn't have done myself anyway. So that's been good. Yeah, so he's gone over the pickup front because it's a Macdon as well, so which is good. We need to replace a few of those little fingers here. There's a few of them missing, but we've got a bag of them, so we'll get onto them. But yeah, and then he's put I'm not sure whether I had any footage of it or not, but he's put the adapter, which is the bit that goes on the header, so you can pick the header up with the fronties. They've serviced it and put it back in for us, and got them back on got the fronts back on the trailers. And there's a guard that needs to go back on that PDO shaft before harvest. But yeah, so that's been a big time saver. As much as we sort of do a lot of the work ourselves, it's good sometimes when we're so busy just to get guys in that know what they're doing, and they can just get in and get stuff done, and they sort of also pick up a few extra problems that we wouldn't have seen. So, and up under the machine, like on the pumps that actually on the windrowing tractor, the pumps that sort of run everything, there's a few oil leaks on there, so they replaced a few seals, so which is stuff I couldn't have done anyway. So in turn we had to get the header going for him, so the header's now back together. It's there behind me. So yeah, we've done the bearings in the engine radiator fan, so it was a bit of a mission to get that in and out, and yeah, got all the belts and chains and that back on it, new chains. So apart from we wash a bit of the bird poo and the dust off it, and give it a grease and jam some fuel in it, it's right to go for harvest. So if we had to go to work tomorrow or even today, we could, both with the windrower and the header, which is fantastic. Tony finished servicing the truck yesterday, so it's had all the oils changed and new filters, which was good. It just wants a grease, and the brakes probably adjusting up a little bit. We have had a letter in the mail, and I'm just waiting back to hear back from them. But there's been a recall on this truck. We bought this truck second hand. It's got about 500,000 Ks on it, but there has been a recall from Freightliner, something to do with the low pressure fuel lines on the Mercedes. It's got a Mercedes-Benz engine in it. Something to do with that. Now the truck went to our Freightliner dealer, I think it's nearly 2 years ago now, and we had a lot of trouble. We had a list of jobs that needed to be done, and it went back about 3 times, and I was about ready to strangle someone by the end of it. So, and one of the jobs was this job now. So we've got this letter again to say that it needs doing and that it's urgent, but my understanding is that it's already been done. So they're trying to work out whether it was done or not at the time. So it may have to go to Albury to get this job done, which will be a pain in the freckle. It's there, because yeah, we're sort of under the pump and getting to the time when we're sort of needing it with getting organised to sow summer crop and that sort of stuff. Tipper's been to town last week. It's had a roadworthy, so we just need to register it. So that's a trip somewhere to a roadworthy agency. We We got the first lot of silage done. Bit of a balls up on my behalf. It was a bit dry, so we've got more to do, so you'll get to see it. But what happens is, because you're baling the hay, it's baling, we'll call it hay for that matter, or silage, it's probably closer to hay, but you're baling it at high moisture. So when we do hay, we like it around that 14-15%. Silage is around that, 25 to 35 roughly, probably no higher than 35. We like to do it a little bit drier, because if it's too wet it goes a bit ordinary. If it's not wrapped properly, it goes a bit yucky. But I got going day before yesterday, and it was a bit dry. And then Gordon, who does the plastic wrapping for us, he was a bit late getting here. And what happens is the bales start to sag if they're too dry, or they're not sort of packed tight enough. So he was probably a couple of hours behind us before he started wrapping the bales, and then they got out of shape. They got a flat spot in them, and they were buggers of things to wrap. So we got it done in the end, but we actually pulled up. The last 2 days, yesterday was all right, but the 2 days prior were 32, 33 degrees, quite windy, so very, very drying sort of weather. So it sort of caught us out a little bit, just with how dry stuff had gotten. We've got no flour left on the dryland canola now. It's dropped all its flour. We had a look at it yesterday. Still got a bit on the stuff that's been irrigated. So yeah, anyway, we ended up with about 150 bales of silage off that first paddock. The second paddock that we cut out at the other farm, the dryland stuff, we've only cut half that paddock at the time, just for logistics and that sort of stuff. So we're actually gonna turn it into hay now. It's actually probably past the point of silage. So, but it does need raking. So we're gonna get organised and take the rake out this morning. The baler's on the tractor here behind me. We've got a contracting job, one of our regular silage jobs that we do every year. So we're going to do that today. We did have a bit of trouble with the baler. It's like anything that sits around for the first job of the year. Things that are usually, shiny or got a bit of rust on them, and there's a bit of dust and that kicking around. We were having trouble with the brake on the silage wrap. So what was happening was the brake disc was just a bit rusty. It just had surface rust on it. So when the bale would wrap, the bale of the actual wrap itself would stop dead, and it would tear the wrap. So when you came to wrap the next bale, it wouldn't grab hold of it to feed it round the bale. So the first 20 bales were a bit of a pain in the backside, but we did, as things shined up and got the rust off it, it worked all right. So we loaded lambs yesterday to go to Melbourne, so they'll be getting killed this morning. So I think we sent 283 in the end, so we'll get results on how they've gone probably tomorrow. We've got an excavator here cleaning channels out as part of the rice job. Now we're actually watering this little paddock in front of our house here. So yeah, just out the front here, it started. One thing I didn't mention the other day with the water, with it starting, you can have 2 different start times. So it's either 8:45 in the morning or 8:45 at night. So when I had water ordered, and I went up to set it up and looked at the channel, and the channel hadn't been sprayed, and it was terribly dirty with grass and that sort of stuff. So I actually cancelled it, and I got the excavator to start and cleaned that channel out. So we put the water back a day. So anyway, it started. We got the water to start last night, so it's going. I've got the water monitor down there, just waiting for it to go off. I actually got a text message this morning. It was at 4 AM it went off, and I thought, oh yeah, beauty, the water's down. I was thinking it would be about then, and looked at my phone, and it was actually one of those stupid scam text messages at 4 AM. It's like, so anyway, that was the end of me that was the alarm clock going off. So yeah, so been up early. It's about 6:30 now, so I've had a bit of brekkie and watched a bit of telly and gave the cat a pat, and yeah, so we'll get to it now anyway. But so yeah, so we're watering that. The excavator's going to work his way around and clean the channels out. It's a 30 tonner, so it's a big excavator. We've got these stops. Where are they? There. We've got those stops that I've spoken about to put in. We're actually going to get a smaller digger. We're going to get a 14 tonner or a 15 tonner to come and put them in. Bit more nimble. Yeah, this thing sort of shifts a lot of dirt with a bucket full, and just the guy that's driving is a really good operator, doing a really neat job of the channels, but he just sort of said, look, perhaps the smaller digger might be better to put those in. So I'm just waiting for the guys to, I've spoken to Trent at the guys that we get to do our that sort of earth moving stuff. I've spoken to those guys, so yeah, just waiting to hear back from him when yeah, when they can come and put them in. So it won't matter till it's early if it's early next week or not. But good thing is we've got that silage off now, so we can start and get that ground prepped for corn. So the guys are gonna, Tony and Brennan are gonna footpath another mob of sheep again this morning, and they'll take the hay rake out to the other farm, and we're just gonna turn that hay out there. I'll go and start the contract baling, and then I'll get Brendan to come and hop on the baler. Yeah, and then we've picked the grader board up. So this is a grader board, so it's essentially a smudger board. This one's 45 foot or about 13.5 meters, thereabouts in metric. I think something like that. Anyway, so yeah, it's got a pivot point here. I'll show you how it works. It just, yeah, it's in obviously in transport mode, so we can get it around. Yeah, so that's where we're up to. So we're going to run over all the rice ground with this, and then it'll basically be ready to sow. So yeah, we are getting organised, which is really good. So anyway, I'll yeah, get this other tractor on the rake and get a bit organised, and but yeah, it's cooled down again. As I said, it got to about 32 or 3 for a couple of days with a pretty nasty wind, but it's back to I don't know, top of 18 or 19 the next couple of days. So we're back to jumpers and got the heater on and that sort of stuff again. So anyway, we'll keep marching along. Just down checking the water. This is the channel we had cleaned out. Yeah, when I had the water ordered the other morning, and I hadn't actually been down here, and it was pretty dirty, this channel. You can see the grass around the stop here. So I had an excavator coming, so I just thought I'll get him to, we put the water off a day and just get him to clean this channel out a bit. So but yeah, I thought the water might have been, with it coming on last night, it's been running 12 hours. I thought we might have been a bit further down the bay than what we are, but yeah, got a bit of ways to go yet. If you've been watching on for a bit, this paddock was a paddock I sprayed a while ago. It was nearly the first job we did once we got the boom spray back from getting it fixed, and I was talking about the rust. So here's a patch of it, and essentially this is why we spray, just to protect the crop from the rust. The plant does, plant breeders are breeding in natural resistance, but it's still, this variety is, well, it seems to be one of the better varieties. Like, it's only had one fungicide, whereas all our other wheats had 2, or sorry, our main varieties had 2. Our grazing wheats have only, I think they've only had the 1 as well. But yeah, you can see here, it sort of just consumes the leaves. So you can imagine if we didn't spray, what's the little dog doing? Tilt. Little rat. If we hadn't sprayed this paddock, you can imagine the whole paddock would be infested, so it'd all be yellow like that. So it'll be alright, but as I said, I think in that video, by spraying it, it actually sort of exposes the spores. The spores seem to come out. So, but yeah, as I said, we sort of want to try and protect the flag leaf and the rust. That's what it does. It attacks the flag leaf. So that's the sort of wider leaf there at the top. Its heads are starting to poke out. So hopefully pretty good time to, it doesn't look like it's going to rain, it's a pretty good time to get a bit of water on it. Yeah, because it'll be flowering, you know, in the next week or 10 days once the heads are out. So, but yeah, it looks alright at the moment. Morning. So yesterday, yeah, things sort of went to plan. Probably went to plan on our front with the farm, but probably didn't go to plan as far as showing you guys what we're up to. So we got out, Tony got out, and we started breaking that bit of hay out the, well, what was going to be silage, but it's now going to be hay. We just, Tony got out and flipped that over just to help it dry out a bit, and Brendan got in and got started on the contract silage job, so he's got to go back today and get it finished. Yeah, I was sort of busy chasing water a fair bit of the day, and we are still renovating the house at home, so yeah, mucking around with a bit of that stuff, and yeah, had a couple other tradesmen come and do a few things, so wasn't super exciting what I was doing, and yeah, I was just running around trying to get a bit of stuff organised at home, so probably wasn't all that riveting, wouldn't have made all that good of watching. So I've just come down this morning, checked the water, and just to make sure that there's not any outlets where we're watering at the moment, where the channel runs, it comes through another paddock that's got outlets, and I just thought I'd come down and make sure there's not an outlet open and we're watering a paddock we shouldn't be. But the excavator's still working, and actually where the channel is cleaned out, we had to open a gap in a fence, so I'm just up here, there's the paddock that I had to come and check the outlets in. Yeah, some lambs have just got through the gap, so yeah, just come up to chase them back where they should be. They're interesting little critters because they've got plenty to eat where they are, but yet they find a gap in a fence or something like that, and they yeah, very adventurous. They like to go and find mischief. It's like having 400 13 or 14 year olds yeah, running around. But this is the main channel that runs down to the round to the rice ground and also to the pivot dam. So we're just basically desilting it. There's outlets that stopped leaking a little bit up there, but yeah, it had a lot of rubbish and that in the bottom of it. So he's just taken, I don't know, sort of 100 mil maybe out of the bottom of the channel, just to clean it out, just so the water obviously runs a lot better where there's no restrictions. So yeah, but this little gap here, morning Tiltil, yeah, we'll just pull it back up and try and keep the sheep lambs where they're supposed to be. I brought these stops down yesterday in the pipes here. Yeah, so what we're planning to do is probably dig these ones out and put them in. We probably don't need two here, and problem with these ones, it's just a straight door, whereas we need to be able to be really close with this camera. What we've done in the past is we've just dropped timber boards, pulled the rubbers out, and just dropped timber boards in there, and then you can just allow the water, a bit like a weir, so you can allow the water just to trickle over. It's not ideal because we do need to be able to, again, at times, and you'll see with the rice, we need to be able to lock, actually close them off as well. So that one over there is the same, he's not quite as big, but Scott in the excavator, I'll just go up and see him. He's going to clean this channel out here so you can see the weeds and that in the bottom of it. We'll give it a tidy up. Yeah, so with the rubber flaps, we'll be able to regulate the flow and essentially you use them like a weir, like a little mini weir. Yeah, just, well, they're in the open position there now. And if I can try, oh yeah, there you go, pull the cable, I can just regulate them, leave them open a little bit just so the water will trickle over the top, and yeah, hopefully it should work all right. But I don't actually know. I think these are going to go in early next week. I don't know whether I'll be here. I think the guys will have to put them in without me being here, but yeah, they should be right. So I just got the digger working here. one of Goldman's excavations at Cobram. They do all our digger work. Not that we sort of have too much, but yeah, when we sort of get stuff done, they do it. So yeah, Scott's here. He's just yeah, running along, cleaning out the edge of this sort of main toe furrow, which we'll have a look once he's done. But yeah, he's got another day or so here to do yet. But got the tractor and board set up yesterday. Didn't get much done. I'll end up probably doing it myself rather than getting the guys do it. The board's not a lot of fun to pack up and unpack, so it's pretty back-breaking. But yeah, we need to fold it up to get between bays. So yeah, I'll worry about that one. And yeah, you'll get to see that at some stage. But yeah, it's all. If you didn't want it to rain, it's all sort of going to plan at the moment. But anyway, we'll hopefully 10 days we'll have the air seeder in here sowing it. Morning. Alright, so we've got a bit of a 4 or 5 day gap in the middle of this video. So Sarah and I and the kids tucked away with the caravan. Just a little place. Well, Reed's becoming a big place. Town called Bright, just on the edge of the mountains. It's about an hour and a half drive away that we go across to a bit. So yeah, just had a few days away. I was hoping I was going to get this one finished before we left, but I just ran out of time. So I just thought I'd just roll on, because there's a bit of stuff. Yeah, there's, as I sort of mentioned, there is a fair bit going on now. The guys have been putting the stops in the last couple of days, so we've had another excavator at home. The big one's pretty well finished cleaning the drains out, and then yeah, the guys, I think they've got one more stop to put in today at some stage, and then the excavator can just go around and backfill a few of them. So they've come in pretty right, gone in pretty well. Had to lift up a couple. The guys had them a little bit deep, which wasn't a drama. They were just able to go along and just with the chains and just lift them a fraction. So they all look pretty good. So it's going to make the job pretty easy. Brendan got the contract hay silage done, and he's just out this morning. It's about, what is it, a bit after 7 this morning. He's yeah, pretty heavy dew this morning, but we're going to try and rake our stuff that we've got cut for hay and shearing. So the shearers are coming in a couple of days, so I'm just here at the moment walking the lambs home. So it's been a bit of a scatter with just this job. The guys just didn't have time to get them a bit closer, so I've sort of just bringing them along the canal now. But I came out here last night, and they couldn't have been any further from where they sort of needed to be to get them out onto the canal. So I got them a bit closer last night. Yeah, so had the little tractor serviced. It's been to town, and the big square baler, it's in town getting a service at the moment as well. What we are looking at though with the weather forecast, they're actually talking rain sort of late Tuesday next week, so about a week away. One forecast had 90 mil for the week last week. So what we're trying to do is going to try and get the rice in, get it sown before it rains, because even if we get 50 mil, that ground will get pretty wet, and we might battle to get it in. So there's a bit of a scatter on. So we'll get these guys home. I'm going to pick the fertiliser up in the morning, and I may even see whether I can pick the rice seed up this afternoon. So I've got to go about half an hour's drive away to get it. But yeah, I'll give the guys a call this morning once 9 o'clock or something, once everything opens up. So, and then yeah, it's not an issue, but we've got a public holiday in Victoria on in a couple of days on Friday. So yeah, obviously nothing's open on the Friday, so we're just trying to get organised for that. And AFL Grand Final, Australian Rules Footy Grand Final this Saturday, so that's generally the country comes to a standstill to watch it as well. So but yeah, no, there's enough happening. The day is almost done, and the windows need a clean. Yeah, so just here, just trying to get a bit of this grader boarding done. We can't see too much of dust out the back there. Just hang on, turned around. Yeah, so can't sort of see too much for dust. I've got the GoPro going on the roof for the time lapse, so it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. But yeah, we got finished getting all the stops in for the rice today. Got the lambs home and sorted up. I've got to shed them up in a minute. Once I get off here, they run into the shed. Shush, they run into the shed a lot better. The lambs, when it's dark, they just can't see the daylight through the grating in the floor. So we generally try and do it obviously during the day when you're shearing. It's not so bad. You've got sheep in the shed and you've got to do it. But yeah, we try and at night just do it in the dark, and yeah, it only takes 10 or 15 minutes to do. So yeah, the excavator's just got to backfill a few stops in the morning, and he's done. And yeah, I'll get Brendan on this grader board tomorrow and get this stuff finished while we're shearing. I went and picked the rice seed up today from Finley. That worked out all right. And then yeah, I'm going to go to town in the morning and get the fertiliser. There's still weatherman's still up and down with the forecast, so we'll just suck it and see what happens, and make a decision as it gets a bit closer. But I'm sort of hoping we can perhaps sow the rice on Monday. We get it sown in a day. It'll be a pretty big day if we're organised, so we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, once it gets dark here, I'll duck home and get the lambs in. Sit. Ned. All shedded. They probably didn't run in as well as what I'd hoped, actually, but anyway, they're in now. They'll settle down, they'll find a spot, and yeah, be pretty happy for the evening. Alright, that'll do for this one. Yeah, apologies, it's been over probably a week since we first started it, but yeah, we had those few days off, which was good. Yeah, busy. Anyway, we'll see what happens in the next coming days, and yeah, we'll talk to you then. Ta-da.